Well, if the full-time running is not feasible for IndyCar's two-time most popular driver, well then, there is possibilities of IMSA. Of course, his ties possibly could get him a deal maybe with the Acura teams in GT Daytona, possibly for Daytona Sebring and Petit Le Mans, perhaps. And then, of course, the rumor about Honda possibly joining NASCAR in the near future also could be in play. So maybe he could be a future driver or a head of focus on that. And certainly his expertise and knowledge is unmatched in terms of his knowledge of the sport. Of course, he was the color commentator on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Network broadcast of the Indianapolis 500 in 2010, 1 year before he was a rookie in the event as a driver himself. So maybe he pops up on NBCSN from time to time. But obviously, just like you, Tom, I want to see this guy in a race car. And if you're talking full-time at this point, it is all about possibly a third seat at Rahal Letterman Lanigan or a third seat at Dale Coyne. I think that's the best scenarios for a full-time ride. Otherwise, we could be talking an Indy-only effort for one of the most popular drivers in IndyCar history. Reporting for The Balance, I'm Matt Embury, IndyCar expert.
Well, there you have it, Steve Wilson, Speedway Digest. And I know that we cover IndyCar for you and certainly Indy 500 for you guys. This is big news for IndyCar and IndyCar fans. As Matt pointed out, one of the most popular drivers. I know it comes down to money, but I tell you what, if you want an ambassador of the sport, James Hinchcliffe of it, is that, and now, with Wickens, the story that's behind there, my guess is they'll find a ride somewhere. Peterson, Errol said that they would continue to pay out their contract until they negotiate another contract with another team. But we don't know where that's going to be. And he opened up another point of conversation about the relationship with Honda. Obviously, that's going to – Andretti doesn't have room. Penske doesn't have room. Dale Coyne, I thought about Ed Carpenter, but an angle that he brought up there, Steve, was – Honda's been talking about going over to NASCAR. Maybe this is a good opportunity. What are your thoughts on James Hinchcliffe suddenly finding himself without a ride?
I think this is indicative of what we see in NASCAR a lot of times. The talent just isn't enough to carry you in a seat anymore, that just so many drivers are coming with backing, and they have family ties, they have corporate ties, they have personal money themselves, whatever the case may be. And these teams are a business at the end of the day. Yes, they go out and compete and try to make money by winning the purse, but, in all honesty, we know that the purse doesn't pay the bills. Only way you're paying the bills is by slapping somebody's name on the side of that car, some company, some name, some sponsor, some partner, whatever the case may be. And when you have a driver that can come in and, they have either a majority funded ride or even a partially funded ride or a fully funded ride, those drivers seem more and more to be taking precedence, and, talent is becoming less and less of the equation a lot of times. And, these teams struggle to survive. So, they're doing sometimes what they have to continue going and not closing their doors. The Honda thing is interesting because it continues to crop up in NASCAR. It's continued to crop up for some time. There was years ago, probably 15 years ago, that, there was rumors of Honda looking at coming into the truck series when they started building the Ridge line. That kind of went nowhere. We've heard over the years, time and time again, after Dodge left out of the sport, that maybe they would come back, but they seem uninterested at this time to make the financial contributions needed to come. But then Honda continues yet again to crop back up again. Honda as a company, they already had a racing platform in America as it is. They already have the manufacturing abilities here in America. They already have, they're one of the most profitable U.S. companies in the auto manufacturing business there currently is right now. And even just back at the Indy 500, there was Several NASCAR officials were around the Indy 500 and supposedly meeting with Honda. And this week we learned yet again the rumor is still out there where if Honda can find a feasible way into the sport, they may consider it. And for them, new manufacturer, NASCAR wants them, would like to have another manufacturer into the sport. Honda seems the most likely because, again, they have the cash funds available. They will probably put a considerable amount of money into the sport like Toyota does currently. Could they do it? I think they can, and I think maybe if the time works out right and the things we're hearing about the new 2021 car, which is going to be on a common spec-built chassis, just like the Dallara chassis are built by Dallara in IndyCar, that it may be a possibility that this gives entry to Honda because the manufacturing side of it is taken out of their hands. Maybe it lessens their expense into the sport, but we'll have to see what Honda really goes with, and I think it'll be interesting. Personally, I wouldn't mind having Honda in the sport. I know a lot of people are very hardcore, needs to be an American company, yada yada. But what a lot of people don't realize is that Honda and Toyota build more cars here in the United States than Ford or Chevrolet. So there's always that aspect of it.
We're talking with Steve Wilson, editor-in-chief of SpeedwayDigest.com, our official NASCAR contributor. Let's move on over to Texas. NASCAR's rolling out to Texas, one of the fastest tracks on the circuit. I like Texas. A lot of action always at Texas. And do they still give out the six-shooters, or was there too many anti-gun people? Did they stop that? I knew there was a protest about that for a while, but I didn't know if they stopped giving those.
No, well, they can have 2 or 3 people standing outside of Texas Motor Speedway stomping up and down, but yeah, they still give them out.
Man, I tell you what an awesome trophy. Let's talk a little bit about, just bring us up to speed of what's going on in the Truck Series, and we'll get in the Xfinity Series, and we'll get into the big race tomorrow out in Texas with the Monster Energy Series.
Truck Series is just it's interesting. Last week they had a first-time winner at Martinsville with Todd Gilliland for Kyle Busch Motorsports. He's been struggling all season long, and there were some frustrations that boiled over on the radio of Todd Gilliland telling his crew to tell Kyle Busch to stay in the effing motorhome at the end of the race, and so that caused a bit of controversy there because I think most people realize that Todd's days at Kyle Busch Motorsports are over with at the end of the season. And, there have been comments made by Kyle Busch prior in the forthcoming weeks to his win as to the performance of him and that team. And the frustrations kind of boiled over into the fact if he won and he's out at the end of the year and where he goes next, there's some maybe some interest in his dad's team, and we'll see where he goes from there. But a little bit of controversy at Martinsville with his win for the first time in the Gander Outdoor Truck Series.
Go over to the Xfinity Series, Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, and Justin Allgaier all above the line in the playoff series.
Tyler Reddick was fast yesterday. I look to him to be fast again today and qualifying in tonight's race there. A little bit of a late race tonight at 8:30 Eastern time for them, but don't count out Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell has gone to victory lane at Texas Motor Speedway before, so this battle is intensifying, and we already can pretty much peg that those two guys will be in Homestead in 2 weeks fighting it out for the championship. I think that right now those are the two strongest teams in the Xfinity Series. We may have a little wild card out there by somebody else, but right now I think those are the teams to beat, and those are going to be the two drivers that are going to go to Homestead in just a couple of weeks. and defend. Tyler Reddick will defend that championship. Christopher Bell looking for the championship, and I think we'll just continue to talk about them not only this week. We'll talk about them next week in ISM, and we can pretty much set those two guys as a field, and somebody's going to have to come up and to the plate and really swing for the fences if they're gonna challenge them in the next couple of weeks or even at Homestead.
Well, moving on over to the Monster Energy Series going into Texas. You got Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch and Joey Logano all above the line. 3 out of those 4 have recent year championships. Denny Hamlin has not got one yet. I'm rooting for old number 11 in the FedEx car. What are your thoughts about Denny Hamlin? What are your thoughts about the top 4 going into Texas and getting ready for Homestead in just a couple of weeks?
Well, I think it's interesting that 3 out of the 4, one of them is already locked in with Martin Truex by virtue of his win at Martinsville last week. 3 out of 4 are all Joe Gibbs Racing cars, with Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Denny Hamlin, with Joey Logano being the only Ford or even other manufacturer in the top 4. We go back into the early stages of this chase, back about 2005 or so, when Roush Fenway Racing had 5 cars in the top 10, and NASCAR took a look at that and said, well, you have way too many cars, you're taking up way too many spots. You performance-wise, you're good at what you're doing, but we need to spread this out a little bit more. So it'll be interesting. I think my interest is piqued that if this maintains and 3 out of the 4 final drivers at Homestead are Joe Gibbs Racing drivers, if NASCAR starts looking and says, well, if we're taking up 75% majority of it with one team, with one manufacturer, then maybe we need to make some changes or make some tweaks, and we'll see what happens with that, like they did in 2005, 2006 years. I think that 4th spot right now with Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, I think those are the drivers right now that we need to watch. Harvick, if he has a chance, I think his chance is next week at ISM Raceway. He's won there and had to been in a must-win situation, and he's done it before at ISM. He's good at ISM. I think Logano's chances are kind of he either needs to maintain or he needs, again, another driver that needs to swing for the fence and get a whole bunch of points to keep himself in there. And then Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch just kind of need to do their thing this week and get through this week. Hopefully they don't have any issues like Chase Elliott did at Martinsville last week, with not only an engine problem but an axle issue in the car that's really just put him in a must-win situation. He really has no choice at this point. But those 2 guys, I think they've really just got to get through this week, collect some points, and they should be good.
Been talking with Steve Wilson of Speedway Digest. Steve, final thoughts, words of wisdom, if you will, before we got to wrap it up, put a bow on it. Talk with us about Texas, or any final thoughts that you got for us.
Well, the season's almost over with, so I guess everybody gets a little break coming up.
You're ready for the off season. Well, congratulations to you and your Nationals for winning their very first World Series. Steve, we'll stay in touch with you, and have yourself a good race weekend, sir.
All right, thank you. Take care. Talk to you next week.
Steve Wilson of Speedway Digest joins us in talking. Big breaking news this week in the funding season of IndyCar. James Hinchcliffe finds his way without a ride. So thanks for Matthew Embury for supplying a soundbite for us about that. And then also Steve Wilson talking some NASCAR with us right around the corner there on the other side. Rick Riggin, official college football contributor, going to be talking to Notre Dame, IU as well eligible, and we're going to get into college football Saturday. Also, Tony Donahue of the Tony D podcast joins us all right around the corner, right here on the Balance Radio Network. 917-889-8516 is our digits. If I can continue to talk, hopefully my voice sticks around for another hour. So, and remember, guys, we're doing our No Shave in November, so let's Make it happen. And I don't know what.